You don't have to make the end of the year complicated to make it memorable. So, welcome to One Tired Teacher, Teaching Without Burnout. This is episode 291. I'm Trina Debery, and I'm so excited that you're here. So, the end of the year can feel crazy, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be crazy. We can still make it really fun, a great review, and just a really special time of the year. Hear me out. That's what we're talking about today. I promise you, it's not as horrible as it sounds. I want to remind you that we're in April. We're focusing on permission and relief and not sacrificing ourselves to finish the year well. So I am going to share a little bit today, like a little bit of a sneak peek into something that I think will be so helpful for you. It has made a huge difference for me when I was in the classroom year after year after year. Hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so spring fever is real. Kids are restless. I think I said last week about how it feels like they're like brother and sister at this point. You have your classroom family. They're really connected, but towards the end of April, they are like driving each other insane. It reminds me of my brother and I when we used to be in a car ride and we would be like barely touching each other, and then the other person would be like, "Mom, she's touching me," or you just hover your finger next to them. It used to make me crazy. That's what it feels like kids are doing in the classroom at this time of year. Testing is done, or it's about to be ending. Energy is unpredictable, and it is like, and if you made it through spring break, you're like, okay, I only have this little bit of time left to go, but it still feels so long, feels so far away. Well, instead of fighting it, what if you leaned into it? So this might be something that you could do with maybe right before spring break, like the week before spring break, or even just, right after you're celebrating testing is over. Or you could even save it until the last week of school. But something that can really make a difference is a theme week. Now, let me tell you about a theme week because it creates excitement. It creates structure. Yes, there's a structure to it, and I'll tell you about that. It really helps with improvement in behavior. I am so dead serious. And it really focuses on engagement. All right, some examples of theme weeks that I have actually created these. So they are in my shop on TPT, and you can use them if they work for you. If not, no problem. You can create, you can do your own theme week. There's lots and lots of stuff out there, but some of the themes I've used in my classroom were a camp week. That's my favorite one. I have to say that's my favorite. That's the original end of the year week that I created, and it is by far my favorite. So you can do a camp theme. It's always fun to have a little campfire. I would use it at the end of the year, and so my kids, their desks would be all around in a circle. We do like a campfire thing. It was so fun. Another really fun one is beach week, like an ocean theme, or going to the beach, headed to the beach, especially because you're moving into summer, so that's really fun. Beach is also really fun to do like right before spring break because a lot of people, sometimes will visit the beach during spring break. Another fun one is sports week. That can be really fun. I know I did sports week after the year that the Gators won the national championship against Ohio State, and it was awesome. So fun. Superhero week is a really fun one to do, especially if you are a big Marvel or DC fan. That's really fun. Western week is one that I did when we had a Western theme one year at school, and that was also just so fun. Kids feel like something special is happening while they are learning, and their learning continues. I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into camp because, like I said, that was the original. All of the camp weeks are very similar. And if you choose to grab them, that's great. But if you want to do your own, that's fine too. Hopefully, this will give you some ideas to do for that. But so I'm going to give you a little sneak peek what's in camp. One of the things that I have done is created an activity for every single subject. So we've got, 5 days of reading activities, 5 days of writing, 5 days of math, and then 5 days of either science and or social studies. So it's packed full of content. I also give you, tips and tricks to use for the end of the year. I, give a little explanation about it and then how you can use this. I've given you a materials list. Now, hear me out, because you're thinking that's a lot of prep with materials. And the materials can be a little bit of a prep, but I have included a letter home, which if you don't want to grab mine, you can always put this into ChatGPT and say, I need a letter home that asks for specific materials. You can assign it by, like, if your name in the alphabet ends with A to M, I need, XYZ. And if it's N through Z, then I need, ABC. And you can go from there. But it's really, the materials are really not that bad. It's a lot of things that you have already. And then it's like, one of the optional social studies activity is creating like a team shirt built on like culture and community. And you don't have to do that. I do give a template of just a piece of paper that they can do the team shirt on a piece of paper. But if you wanted to have kids bring in like white t-shirts, like Hanes white t-shirts, and a lot of times when you ask families, they'll donate. They'll buy like a pack of 3 and give one to their kid, and sometimes kids will come to school with just an old shirt and they'll use that, and that's totally fine too. And I do have an iron-on if you wanted to get fancy, but I always just let my kids do whatever they wanted with. And I did ask for fabric markers, but once you have these things, like, a lot of times you can reuse them. So that's really helpful. But fabric markers or fabric paint works really well. And the kids can just go to town creating a camp themed shirt, which is really fun. And then you need some, you might need some materials for some of the experiments, the science experiments. We do a fun quicksand science experiment in the camp theme. And you are going to need cornstarch and some spoons and some bowls, but again, those are pretty easy things to find. Everything is easy to find. So that's one of the benefits of it. And again, like I have a letter, I have a reminder that you can send home to parents, letting them know what they're bringing in, when it is. I give you a schedule. I love to start with the very first activity I love to start with is a reader's theater, and it's a camp themed reader's theater. And whether you're doing camp or beach or superhero or sports or Western, there's a reader's theater in all of them. That's a really fun way to get kids excited. It's kind of an introduction to the theme week because it even like hints at some of the activities that you'll do. And you wouldn't have to do this at the end of the year. It's kind of written for the end of the year, but it would work really well like after spring break or before spring break or after testing, really, or even during summer school would be a really, really active thing to do and fun, and also a really good review. So, Reader's Theater, we're focusing on fluency. We're focusing on which is such an important part, intonation and pace, and it can be really powerful with the Reader's Theater. I've given you little visuals to help kids know which part is theirs. It's such a fun activity. And then there's, like I said, there's activities for every single subject. So we've got more reading and writing. We're talking about our favorite book recommendations and then writing an opinion piece about them. We're talking about creating commercials for favorite books. All of these things make a really great decoration and introduction to the next year's class. So that can be really powerful as well. Like you have some of this stuff already done for next year. I love hanging up the book recommendations in this like area of my classroom. And then my new second graders coming in would see the recommendations from the past students. That was really powerful. So that's something that's really fun. There's even a little camp book inside of the end of the year camp, which is called The Camping Trip, which is a little cute little story that I wrote about to integrate camp, and it's very fun. Another really special thing that a lot of kids love is we do a little All About Me. We do a Mad Libs activity. I actually have, and they're practicing like nouns and verbs and adjectives, and that's really fun. And it's also a fun way to do it because that can be, parts of speech can be difficult. We have a memory book, which is a really fun activity that we spend a couple days on because, you know, they are filling out parts of it and then they're having signatures and love all that. We've got some fun math games that are focusing on addition and subtraction and really making sure that those are solid skills before they're moving on grade levels. And one of my favorite games in it is called Lights Out, which is such a fun game. That's another thing you can do is like, oh, that's another unit I have that I didn't even mention was a glow theme, which is all like glow in the dark and glow, like so fun. That's such a fun unit as well. And if you can't decide, if you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do a couple of these different weeks, one like right before spring break and one at the end of the year, or maybe two at the end of the year, I do have a theme week bundle and you get the glow week for free. You're actually, it's 30% off of 5 units, but you actually get 6 units because you get that 6th one for free. So that's a steal. Another fun thing I love to do is bubble math. It's bubble math and science. It's integrating math and science, and kids are blowing bubbles on their desk. I know that sounds crazy. I'm telling you, the thing that's so great about this is that there's a lot of downtime as far as kids doing things that are like the practicing the reader's theater, doing the book commercials. All this is a lot of them being engaged, working while you get to purge, while you get to do cume folders, while you get to make class lists, while you get to like clean up your classroom or prepare for next year. That's the beauty of these. But there are a few activities where you're going to want to be involved, which is the bubble science. But it is, I'm telling you, so much fun. And those desks are spotless. They are like your whole room smells so good. It is so much fun and kids love it. You just have to remind them not to drink the liquid. I always used to tell my kids, if you drink the liquid, you're going to have explosive diarrhea. And they would be really grossed out by that. And I'm like, you don't even want to get a little bit in your mouth. You're blowing. You're not sucking. You're blowing. And then they would be like, you know, if they got any little tiny bit, they won't really get diarrhea from a very small amount. It's safe. It's not toxic chemicals. But they will get an upset stomach. So they are, you know, they're very careful about it. I've never had, in all the years, I've never had someone drink the solution. So don't worry. It's totally worth it. It's so fun. Another fun thing to do is, you know, some of the science experiments I talked about, the quicksand. There's also a boat school experiment about floating and sinking, and that's really fun as well. It's just such a fun thing to do. And the social studies they're building a camp map. They're doing a mapping activity. They're reflecting on goals, and it's just it's such a great way to get kids excited, kids motivated. And what I used to do is I would like list all the activities on the board, and it would be like everyone was getting to participate in all the activities. But I did have a behavior system where if they got to, if they had to have like a note in their planner or whatever, then that would be considered like they were losing an activity. But here's the key. If you ever take something away from kids, give them a chance to earn it back. This is for your own sanity, not only theirs, but yours too. Because the moment we take things away and we don't give them a chance to earn it back, they give up and they are like, well, fine, I didn't get it. I'll just keep on down this negative spiral of whatever. And that means you are looking intently for them to do anything right so that they can, because I would have them, they'd have to get to like above and beyond for the day. That would earn the activity back, not just good behavior, but above and beyond behavior. And then I would look for any little thing and move them up and be like, all right, you're almost there. You almost earned it back, and make a big deal out of it because I wanted them to see that they could earn it back. And I can only think of 1 or 2 years where I had a few kids miss the first activity, and I gave them success work. I gave them stuff that they could do while the rest of the class was practicing the reader's theater in small groups. And so they had to do a success activity, which was usually something kind of boring, to tell you the truth. And they didn't get to participate. But that turned their behavior around so that they didn't miss anything else. It was like a behavior management gold system. Like, they were so good. And but I had to make sure that they could see that they could earn it back, because if not, you really are hurting yourself and the child as well, but you're really hurting yourself. So you really want to focus on what they're doing right so that you can keep encouraging them to continue doing the right thing so that they can participate in everything. Because leaving, I hated leaving kids out, but I also felt really strongly about, this is a reward. I can still give you the same content. You can work by yourself and be successful by yourself. But so I'm not eliminating them from learning, but I want to be able to trust that they're going to be able to do what I want them to do while having fun, so that I can actually get work done at work. So that's just a little sneak peek into the camp unit. And that's basically how all of the units go, whether it's, beach or superhero, Western, sports, glow week. They're just such a fun way to end the year. Kids feel like something special is happening while learning continues. If you would like to make the end of the year a little more fun for your class, I also have some editable camp-style classroom rewards that you can grab for free. That's my April freebie. Use them if they fit in your theme weeks. You can find them at trinadeveryteachingandlearning.com/camp awards. Sometimes the simplest structure creates the best classroom energy. You're so close. You're almost there. Remember, you don't have to carry the entire school year on your shoulders to finish well. You're allowed to laugh with your students. Keep things simple and leave work at work sometimes. Teachers deserve happiness too. I'll talk to you next week. Until then, sweet dreams and sleep tight.